Welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Hey everyone, welcome back. Great to have you here. Of course, as always, thank you so much for joining the Cabral Concept. We are on to our second Cabral HouseCall of the weekend. This is episode 2053. So if you'd like to read along with the questions of the day, head on over to stephencabral.com/2053 for all of today's questions. Each and every weekend answering our community's questions. Of course, thank you so much for tuning in, for writing in, and of course, sharing all of this material that you may learn with anyone you believe it could serve. So what I'd like to do today is really just get right into the questions. We had some great questions yesterday on the best types of dairy, what Ayurvedic medicine says about dairy and milk. We went over what's going on with some pain underneath the right side of the rib cage. What could it be? What to look for? A gut healing protocol we spoke about after a certain medical procedure. What else do we talk about? We talked about different types of tapioca starch or thickeners added to food, really what one of the best ones were, and then a specific lab recommendation based on ovulatory issues for women during their menstrual cycle. So again, great questions yesterday. Happy to go through those. And today, I never look at the questions ahead of time. Today is no different. So I really don't know the questions that will be coming in, but I'm looking forward to getting started. So hopefully you are as well. And the first question today is from Sara. Sara is writing in saying, "Hi, I was just wondering when the optimal time of day is to take your capsules and supplements. I was wondering if taking them at night before bed might contribute to your GI system being too active, similar to eating late, or if taking them in the morning might stimulate the system as well as maybe interrupt it. Thank you so much for your time and consideration. I recently discovered you through Sahara Rose's podcast and feel incredibly grateful for all your hard work and expertise that you've shared. Have a great day." Thank you, Sara. Appreciate you. And thanks so much for being a new member. So I have a podcast on this. It's at stephencabral.com/podcasts. I won't be able to find it right away for you, but if you ever want to write in, if you're having difficulty finding a podcast, please just write into cabralsupportgroup.com. Michelle is an amazing human who is able to find all of these podcasts for you super fast. We do have over 2,000. And Sara, since you're a new member here, I just want you to know that the questions take about 6 weeks to answer on the Ask Cabral on the weekends, but you can get them basically same day at cabralsupportgroup.com. But just to give you a short answer on your question, you actually, there's no specific time that you would take all supplements. So supplements are meant to take away from food. So when you're taking like our CBO protocol for gut healing, you always take them before or basically upon waking and before bed, because you want them away from food so they're not essentially competing with, or the proteolytic enzymes are not digesting the food. They're going directly into the digestive tract. When you're taking your sleep protocol supplements, those are going to be before bed. When you're taking vitamins and minerals, those are almost always taken at meals. Okay, that's very important. When you're taking your thyroid supplements, those are taken 2 in the morning and 2 in the evening with meals. When you're taking your adrenal soothe, it's typically 1 at lunch, 2 at dinner. So every product is actually taken at a specific time of the day to work best with your body, because believe it or not, some supplements give you energy, some calm the body down. Some would bring more calcium in the bloodstream. So we're using magnesium and things like that along with them to bring the calcium back to the actual tissues and bones of the body. So everything is perfectly formulated, and it actually gives you directions, at least with functional medicine-based companies. Our company, Equilife, EQUI.life is one of those companies. But if you're working with a good integrative health practitioner, naturopathic doctor, they should have the right recommendations for you as well. So Sara, hopefully that's helpful. Maria says, longtime listener to the show. In fact, I haven't missed an episode for nearly 2 years. Thanks, Maria. Happy to hear that. My question is, having low iron levels, I supplement with iron glycinate, bisglycinate, and I'm curious as to whether this form of iron is heme or non-heme or neither. as whether then pairing this with vitamin C will help with absorption. Excuse me. I've read somewhere that vitamin C only helps the absorption of non-heme iron. Curious for your thoughts. Thanks. Well, this is a great question. So there are many forms of iron to take. And when I'm looking at the iron bisglycinate, it's not my favorite form, but I'm also not against it. I use it in my practice for people that do not do well with more of the food-based iron. But I am an advocate of this form for people that really need to drive those levels up. There's no doubt about it, since this form has been shown to help really well with red blood cell formation. So when I'm also talking about this form, I have no problem taking it with vitamin C and actually do recommend it. I recommend this form of iron always taken at a meal, and I recommend taking it with something like the daily nutritional support that has magnesium, some vitamin D, some zinc and copper, some vitamin C to help with that absorption. That's absolutely how I would use it. This is not a vegetarian, well, we'll put it this way. It's not animal-based, but it doesn't come from necessarily whole food. It is created. So I don't think that you could look at this as a heme, depending on how you want to pronounce it, non or heme, form of iron. I would look at it as like a methylcobalamin, which is a great product for B12 that has actually been created for maximum absorption. So if you want the iron that I recommend, you'll find it over at eco.life. It's food-based, but I'm not against this form of iron, and I have used it in my practice. It's just not my everyday go-to, and you just want to make sure that when you're using this form of a chelated iron, that you do run your iron levels after taking it for about 4 to 6 weeks to make sure you don't go too high. That's all. So again, great product. Should be easy on the intestines. Take it with the other products, and I think you'll do great. Okay. Tracy's up. Hi, Dr. Paul. Thank you so much for all you do. I no longer listen to music on my way to work because I don't want to miss a show. That's phenomenal here. I love that. I actually started doing that in my early 20s when I found out that you could use your commute to work as what they call the rolling university. So I used to listen to self-improvement. I used to listen to fitness. I used to listen to health. And back then it was CDs. And so this is the early 2000s. And that's what I did. And I loved it. So I'm happy to hear that people are doing that now with podcasts because it's fantastic. All right. My question today is this. I've recently been diagnosed with a ventral hernia. I have 2 children, and I'm over 40. I know that my lack of exercise after having kids has most likely contributed to this. I also have diastasis recti or recti, which I'm currently working on healing. So the question is, can you heal a hernia naturally? I live a toxin-free life, would rather not have permanent staple in my body. Thank you again. All right. So again, I just want to let you know that any medical-based questions, I cannot give you a cure, a diagnosis, or a treatment protocol based on conventional medicine. So I'm not going to do that. That's not within a non-medical doctor scope of practice. I'm a board-certified doctor of naturopathy, not a medical doctor. So we have to understand that when you're talking about ventral hernia, umbilical, inguinal hernias, we're talking about a part of your abdominal wall that is basically opened up and allowed the intestine to pop through. It can actually heal on its own, depending on the degree of the tear. If the degree of the tear is too large, it's not going to be able to heal on its own and could cause issues in the future, especially if that intestine stays poking through. So you do want to have it fixed. The good news is hernia surgery is very simple. It's outpatient, and you don't have to have a permanent staple in your body. So talk with your doctor about this because you can have a dissolvable mesh. Now, do I think that that's non-toxic? No, of course not. But we can work on the toxicity issues, and it might just take some dissolving sutures as well. So they no longer have to put in typically some type of even metal mesh or permanent staples. So just keep that in mind. Now, the nice thing is this. As for the diastasis recti, I just talked about this on a previous podcast. So if we go to stephencabral.com/podcasts, what we're going to do is we're going to take this question because literally it was like last week. And I'm going to type it into the search box for you. And I'm just going to type in diastasis. Diastasis. All right. Let's see here. It was on episode 2024. All right. So you'll find your full answer in episode 2024, teaching you how to come back from diastasis because you can. And yes, it is common, especially after second, third childbirth, but no doubt about it, after doing specific core-based exercises and working on it, most women are able to return that the rectus abdominal muscles and the transverse abdominal muscles back to their normal spacing. All right. Amanda's up next. Hello. What does it mean, or is it a sign of that my stomach gets very, very gassy when I lay down and go to sleep? And when I wake up in the morning, the rest of the day, I feel normal. It doesn't make a difference when or what I eat. It is a consistent symptom every night and most mornings. Okay. So let me just reread this quickly. What does it mean when you get very gassy when you lay down and go to sleep? And when I wake up in the morning? Okay. Well, the rest of the day you feel normal. I can answer this. So when you lay down, all right, so we're taking a body. If you're not watching this on video, if you're not watching a video, you can always watch a video on the podcast page that day, and you can always watch it on YouTube. Please do head over to YouTube. It's just my name, Stephen Cabral. Subscribe, hit the notification bell. I'd love for you to check out our YouTube channel as well. It's our daily podcast. Plus, we put on 5 to 10 minute clips of not the podcast, but actually whiteboard series teaching videos that are a lot of fun as well. So definitely check it out over there. All right, so let's answer this question for you. All right, when I'm eating, I'm vertical. My stomach actually moves down into a pocket on the left side, and then that's the fundus, and then it moves to the gastric part of the stomach, the gastric valve. The gastric valve opens into the small intestine. Okay, this is the main reason why you want to be, seated upright with good posture when eating. Believe it or not, that's actually helpful. And then, if whenever possible, go for a light walk, 10, 20 minutes after eating, or just stand up and do very, very light movement. And that will help with digestion. If you lie down, here's what happens. You don't actually have the same natural gravitational pull from being upright. So when you lay down, the food will stay in your stomach longer, which means it has the ability to ferment, which means it has the ability when it ferments to create gas. Very, very common, not abnormal. First of all, it sounds like you may need digestive enzymes. Of course, I'm not giving you a diagnosis or treatment protocol, but head on over to, if it's not a link, I'll create the link for you. Literally, I'll create the link for you. Go to stephencabral.com/enzymes. And enzymes, yeah, we'll do that. And I'll make sure that we get that link working for you. 2 to 3 capsules at a meal. And then once you're feeling pretty good, you can always wean that down to just 1 capsule. So that'll be really helpful. A hot cup of ginger tea is also helpful for a meal, for digestion. Why now when you wake up in the morning, might you have some gas first thing? Well, what's actually happening is now you are standing. The body knows to now go into waking mode. It turns off bowel movements. It turns off urination with certain antidiuretic-based hormones that your body naturally produces. And now your body's ready to start the day. So it's going to start to move things along, and that includes gas. So if you have a little gas in the morning, it could also be from that poor digestion after dinner. Try to stop eating a couple hours before bed. All of this is going to greatly improve it. All right? Great question, Amanda. All right, let's get to one more question, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, let's see if we can get 1 or 2 more. Megan's up next. Hi, Dr. Stephen Cabral. I'm a longtime listener of your podcast and follower on Instagram. The information you put out is invaluable. Well, thank you, Megan. Recently, I've been doing a deep dive into Ayurvedic medicine and trying to discover my dosha type. I listened to your first few podcast episodes about this topic and was trying to use your celebrity pictures as an example, but the one body type combination that I think I am, which is Vata Kapha female, did not have an example on the show notes page of that podcast. I was wondering if you could explain in more detail the difference between Vata Pitta dosha and Vata Kapha dosha body type. I think I'm one of those, but I can't figure out which one. Thank you. Thank you, Megan, for letting me know, and we'll find one. All right, we'll find one and put it up there. So I'm going to put Vata Kapha. So it's very easy to explain the Vata Kapha body type. So Vata Kapha body type typically has thinner wrists, thinner ankles, but they have for a woman, they might have larger breasts. They might have carry more weight on the chest, midsection, and hips, where a Vata woman wouldn't. So usually a Kapha woman and man would have thicker joints, thicker ankles, thicker wrists, Totally normal. Nothing wrong with that at all, right? Nothing wrong with it at all. So we're not saying one's better than the other. And their body is more just robust. That's all. That's what it means. And then Vata is going to be more thinner ankles, thinner joints. They typically have smaller hips, especially for a Vata woman, and they have a smaller chest as well. Again, one's not better than the other. So the difference now, the combination now with a Vata Kapha is typically you're going to have the smaller joints and maybe even smaller legs, but maybe a larger chest and maybe larger upper body, carrying a little bit more weight. Essentially what they would consider more, I guess the term is more pear-shaped, but thinner ankles, right? So you can still have the thin joints, but you carry a little bit more weight. That's more of the Vata Kapha. I have way more examples than that on those Ayurvedic podcasts. If you go to stephencabral.com/podcasts and you scroll through the images at the top, you'll find all of my Ayurvedic podcasts now in one easy section. You can click on that. You can listen to all of the Ayurvedic shows. We'll make sure to get a Vata Kapha body type up there as well. But you might be able to kind of think of some people now in your head. Now, a Vata Pitta, is going to be more of a muscular, typically body type. They're going to have broader shoulders, ability to put on more muscle. They're going to have larger glutes, muscles than the Vata. They're going to have more calf development than the Vata, and that's more of the Vata Pitta. All right, but still the thin joints. All right. Let's do one more question. I want to get to 6. This one's from Sara. It says, thank you for all your years of education and content. Thank you, Sara. I do sauna and hot yoga and find myself getting pretty dizzy after when I stand up. If happens even after a hot bath. I've done this heat therapy for years and it always happens. I read it might be caused by low blood pressure, which I'm on the lower side. Wondering if you've heard about this. Is it common? Anything I can do besides take extra time to get up? Yeah, absolutely. So I used to have this all the time. I had POTS. Not necessarily saying that you have POTS, which is postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. But even if you did, you might have just variations of it. Like that's the thing. We always like to diagnose people. But the truth is like there's variations. It's a scale. It's not just one or the other. It's not binary, right? It's not like you have it or you don't. So what we want to do is we want to look at your electrolytes. We want to look at your cortisol levels. We want to look at your blood pressure. You can do your blood pressure right at home. I've got a podcast on how to set up your own doctor's office, or you can just go to stephencabral.com/resources. Click on the blood pressure monitor I recommend. You really want to be between 110 and 120 for your top number, your systolic, and between 70 and 80 for your diastolic. If you're like 95 over 55, 95 over 60 or 65, that's low blood pressure. And you can definitely get dizzy upon standing. Typically, those people, their adrenals aren't working as well as they should be. That means HPA axis. And if this is new to you, again, we have free podcasts on all of these things to teach you. You can read the rain barrel effect. And it often means that they have electrolyte imbalance. And so you want to check that out as well. So if you can only run one lab, you'll run the starter kit, which is a great combo lab. And then if you can run one more on top of that, you would run the stress hormones, mood, and metabolism. So that's exactly what I would do. It's literally everything I would do. You'll be able to fix this. Blood pressure, lower levels of electrolytes like sodium could be a potential issue. There are others as well, histamines, etc. Could be that, but it's always when you're sweating. It's always when you're hot. So I'm going towards sodium and electrolytes and then HPA axis imbalance because believe it or not, your adrenals actually control a lot of the amount of the sodium that your body holds on to. All right. Great questions today. Amazing. I would expect nothing less from our community. So thank you so much. If it was helpful, of course, please always do feel free to share it with anyone else that you believe it could serve. And tomorrow I'll be back with another Mindset and Motivation Monday. Don't miss it. All right. Take care. Thank you so much for just tuning into the show. And before you go, I want to let you know about my all-time favorite offer going on right now over at Equalife. We ran this about a year ago and we're doing it again this year. It will be the last time this year. And if you missed out on the Big 5 promotion going on about a month ago, you are not going to want to miss this. This is a fraction of the price and it allows you to get 2 of our top at-home lab tests that's going to give you all of your vitamin levels, all your mineral levels, your heavy metals, your electrolytes, your stress, your mitochondrial levels. It looks at ketones, keto-based markers. It looks at gut function such as bacteria, candida overgrowth, and even mold markers. Plus, you're going to look at your overall digestion, methylation markers, and so much more. It is the perfect test that combines the candida, metabolic, and vitamins test with the minerals and metals test. But it's essentially half off. You save $300 this week while supplies last. Don't miss this. It's an amazing deal. It's my favorite way for people to get started if they're not able to do the big five. Head on over to stephencabral.com/starter-kit. That's stephencabral.com/starter-kit to save $299 right now and get free shipping. Let me know if there's any questions. Happy to help. Have an amazing day.